I'm Jacques Gordon, Global Investment Strategist with LaSalle Investment Management and Chair of the Metropolitan Planning Council Board of Governors. I'm on a tight time clock, but I'm going to go ahead and ask every member, current and past, of the Metropolitan Planning Council's Board of Governors or resource boards, or if you've done work with us, please, would you please stand up? Including executive advisors. Thank you. It's been my pleasure to serve as your board chair the last 2 years. It's a terrific board, resource board and board of governors. I've been personally involved with the MPC for more than 20 years. It's really energizing to be amongst all of you, including just my own table mates. We've got Darren Walker, Julia Stash, Tony Preckwinkle, all sitting next to each other, and Marisa. It's just, if all your tables are like mine, it's just a terrific feeling in the room. It's also a terrific setup for our annual Champion Fighter Award. Each year, MPC celebrates a leader who has fought hard to enhance the region's assets and manage our liabilities. I'm so proud to present MPC's Champion Fighter Award to my board colleague, a man whose commitment to MPC and the Chicago region seemingly knows no bounds. It's King Harris, chairman of Harris Holdings. Today, King joins the ranks of other champion fighters that MPC has awarded in the past, civic giants like Mayor Richard J. Daley, Ferd Kramer, Dorothy Rubel, Lester Crown, Andy McKenna, and Miles White. Now, when King commits to a cause, he persists until the work is done. For nearly 2 decades, he has applied his stick-to-itiveness to affordable and accessible housing solutions for our region. First, as a senior executive with the Metropolis 2020 project, and today as an MPC senior fellow and board member. And most recently, he's just joined as chair of the Illinois Housing and Development Authority. Over the years, King has logged hundreds of hours in the field with MPC staff and partners. Through the Homes for a Changing Region initiative, King, MPC, and our partners, the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus, many of you here today from that, and the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning, also known as CMAP. These groups have gone out and met individually with local officials and residents from 44 different Chicago suburbs, helping them plan their future housing needs. That's why it's so fitting that MPC is going to be naming the King W. Harris Housing Fund in his honor. It's going to support our housing policy work today and in the future. Those of you who know King, whether through his work with MPC or he and his wife Karen, their numerous other civic commitments, I think you'd all agree that he is a memorable guy. He's so unforgettable, in fact, that, well, a few years back, he actually revisited the Chilean little town where he served in the Peace Corps in the 1960s. He walks in, and his host family still has his picture up on the wall. A little more hair, King. So, to honor King, we know we needed to do something memorable. Please join me in shifting your attention to this video featuring some of his close companions and reflecting on what makes King, King.
We're here today to honor King Harris. And I've had the privilege of working with King for the last 15 years. And I can attest to the fact that you will find no one more generous, not only with his money, but more importantly, with his time and his talents. But don't take my word for it. Let's hear from a few people who are very close to King.
Well, King is somebody you can count on. I mean, he's a guy that gets the job done. You give him something to do and he gets it done and he does it well. And he's very passionate about things, and those things that he cares about, he will not give up on.
Everyone has to be a citizen, not just the politicians and not just the government. Everybody's got to do their part, and my father has always believed that to the core.
And he's been at that for 20 plus years. He started working on this issue and this project, got to know every mayor in every town surrounding Chicago.
I am very grateful to King Harris for his good work on behalf of residents in unincorporated Cook County. 5 years ago, I asked him to head up a task force to look at this issue, and because of King's good work, We now have housing code enforcement that's going to go into these areas and address what we believe are the abysmal conditions in which people live. I'm very grateful to him for his persistence and his hard work.
When our kids walk out the door to go to school, I always tell both of them, be a leader, always try your best. And I'd like to say I'm the smart guy who came up with those ideas, but those all come from my dad and from watching my dad.
And what I want to say on a personal level is that King, as some of you may know, is a person of modest resources, but he is really an ordinary guy.
He loves to watch and binge watch TV series of the most lowbrow category you can imagine.
Anyone who knows my dad knows he doesn't do anything halfway.
He will spend hours and hours and hours, and I said, King, do you ever sleep? And my conclusion is he probably doesn't.
He likes to tell people that sometime very early on I was dropped on my head. I assume that was by him since he was responsible for me, but that's how he rationalizes the fact that I like the Cubs and he likes the White Sox. But unfortunately, Dad, the joke's on you this year. So I was told my whole life I was an only child, but it turns out I've got a long-lost brother with 4 legs. My father would probably tell you I'm not as smart as he is, but at least I'm not as fat as he is.
But I think you'll find him to be a person who's even-tempered, persistent, and of great good humor, and I'm grateful to have him as a friend.
And because it's your special day, I came out here to get you your very favorite lunch. Enjoy.
For all this and more, please join me in honoring King Harris with the Metropolitan Planning Council's 2016 Champion Fighter Award. King, would you please join us up on stage?
And we have your lunch for you today, King. We know you'll enjoy it.
Before I begin my remarks, I should say that I am the only one in this room who personally received a letter from the CEO of Subway thanking him for his patronage. Anyway, I am really, truly honored to receive this award. It has really been my privilege over the last 17 years to be involved with the Metropolitan Planning Council and its ambitious planning agenda, especially in the housing area. Since its inception in 1934, 82 years ago, the MPC has worked tirelessly to improve housing conditions in the Chicago metropolitan area. One of its pioneering projects, employer-assisted housing, is what first got me involved with the MPC in 1999. Thanks to the guidance of Robin Snyderman, who is here today, and her housing team, our company, Pitway, and its system sensor division in St. Charles, were able to implement a very successful employer-assisted housing program that ultimately benefited 80 of our employees. They were able to buy their first home. And later, over 2,000 families in the Chicago metropolitan area benefited from the MPC's employer-assisted housing efforts. Another MPC project at the time, which involved collaboration between the MPC and the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus, introduced me to the world of suburban housing planning. In the years since, first with Chicago Metropolis 2020, and I should thank George Ranney, who's here today, for getting me involved in Metropolis 2020. And then, yes. And then with the MPC, it has been my privilege to work with suburban mayors, planning officials, and village government leadership on developing forward-looking housing action plans to address housing needs. Now, if you watch programs on television, you can easily come to believe that government cannot work and that government officials cannot solve key problems we face. My experience over the last 20 years has been quite different. On a local level, I have found that party affiliation is meaningless and that people can work and plan together successfully. I only wish that what I have seen in our suburban cities and villages could be duplicated in Springfield and in Washington. I also want to use this opportunity to personally thank the many people who have made these last 17 years rewarding to me as I have dealt with housing issues. First, my colleagues at the Metropolitan Planning Council, including all those individuals who have served on MPC's Housing Committee. Second, Allison Clements, Beth Dever, Dave Bennett at the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus, who have made our planning work possible by creating a bridge between the MPC and local communities. Third, the terrific planners at CMAP, Drew Williams-Clark, Jonathan Birch, Kendra Smith, Bob Dean, and CMAP leadership, first Randy Blankenhorn, and now Joe Sabo, who have really spearheaded much of our planning work in recent years. Fourth, past and current leadership at the Illinois Housing Development Authority, including Kelly Dibble, Mary Kenny, and now Audra Hamernick, for supporting our projects. Fifth, the Chicago Community Trust, and Terry Mazzani is here today, and I can say to Terry and everybody at the Trust, your support over the last really 17 years has been absolutely critical in making our housing work successful. And last, and perhaps most important, to my partner and working colleague for the last 15 years, the former mayor of Glenview, Nancy Furfer, who should be sharing this recognition with me. Nancy's experience in local government and housing development and her excellent judgment as to what is possible have made our planning projects work. So again, thank you all, and a special toast to the MPC and everyone involved with housing. Thank you.